Hi guys! So I'm back again today with a first impressions video, and my NARS All Day Weightless Luminous foundation. The video that I did for that was really popular, so I thought I'd do one with a Drugstore foundation, and the one I picked today is one I picked up the other day, and it's the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Matte. This is a new one from L'Oreal, and it's part of their Infallible range obviously, and this is a mattifying infallible foundation. I've got a shade 20 Sand. The texture is meant to be medium and the coverage is meant to be high. It's described as a new matte finish, lightweight, non-cakey 24-hour matte perfection. So I'm super excited to try this because, like, I'm into my foundations. I can't get enough of the base. Do you know what I mean? So I put my eye makeup on and some eyebrows, just to a bit of lip balm, and I've got a huge spot. But I'm going to see how this I'm going to road test it and see how it is. So I might try and sort of film later and tell you how it's sort of stayed on the skin over time, so hopefully you guys can get a good idea of what I think of the foundation rather than just like an instant impression. Like, we need to know what it's like throughout the day. So I'm taking a page out of Tati's book and I'm going to do that with this and keep you guys updated. Right, so what I'll tell you first of all is that when I was picking out the foundation, I noticed straight away that the colour range is pretty rubbish, especially if you've got darker skin tone. So I think there was like 4 shades that were lighter than this, and I mean, I'm not the most sort of tanned girl out there, so for lighter skinned girls this is probably going to be something that you could probably get a really good match with. I was trying out, I thought vanilla sounded like a good shade. Way too pasty. I'm probably going to put this on, it's probably going to be too dark, but when I was sort of like swatching it and having a little look, I found that the shades, I kind of kept having to go up a shade until I settled on Sand, which seems like a good match for me, although knowing my look, it'll end up pretty orange. So we'll give it a whirl anyway. So I've got my mirror in front of me here, and I'm going to use my slightly dirty Real Techniques buffing brush, because this is kind of the brush that I use for pretty much. Ooh, this looks attractive. I look like an elf. Oh my god, that was awful. So I'm going to apply it. I've already put my moisturiser on and some primer, so we'll give this a little whirl and be excited. I look like an elf. Okay, so it comes in like a squeezy tube, so we'll put a little bit, I'll just do like a little bit on my hand and see how this goes. So just feel quite light. I think this is quite a good colour match actually. See how it goes. Yeah, so we'll get a bit more because I thought that would do it, but apparently not. So we'll do like a bigger square this time. So I've got some more in my hand, just tap it in. Now I don't know whether it's the lighting in here or it's the foundation, but it doesn't feel like completely matte. I'm getting a bit of a sort of slight dewy feel with this. Just gonna get the mirror and have a little look. You guys can't actually see what I'm doing, this is awkward. Right, I feel like it's quite light textured on the skin. Like, it doesn't feel too heavy, doesn't feel cakey. I put one sort of slight bit of a layer on and then sort of built it up. I felt like I had to use quite a bit of product. I've still got a tiny bit on the back of my hand. Didn't like sink into the brush or anything. It felt quite like nicely sort of like whipped kind of thing, and I feel like it gives quite a like slightly dewy finish. Like, it's sort of, if you sort of look at it, it's got a slight glow to it, so it's not flat in any way. I didn't expect it to be flat anyway, because like foundations come a long way, so I didn't expect it to be matte and completely flat. So I quite like the finish of this. I felt like it blended in quite seamlessly. There wasn't much effort required, which is always good with foundation. Like, I mean, I could spend all day just you know, buffing in my foundation. I feel like this would go on really nice with a like damp sponge, like the Real Techniques complexion sponge or the beauty blender, so I might try that later and like insert a clip maybe tomorrow and see how that sort of goes. Yeah, I feel like I quite like it. It adds sort of a luminosity to the skin in a really non-shiny, non-greasy way. It's kind of like natural, but then you've still got a lot of coverage there. I mean, it's covered up that spot quite well. I'm going to put the rest of my face on and then I'm going to come back to you. So I've just put the rest of my makeup on, just sort of like bronzer, a little bit of concealer, powder. I felt like I didn't really need to powder, but because I've got studio lights kind of thing on me, I felt like I maybe needed to a little bit. I felt like it didn't have the same texture as the NARS one, but it did have something very similar. Like the finish was quite similar. It was probably a little bit more natural than the NARS one, and probably a little bit, I'd say it has the same kind of luminosity, the same kind of like buildable coverage. So I say it could be quite dupeable to the NARS, the latest NARS one, in that you do get a very similar finish. Obviously this is what, $7.99 or something. Yeah, I feel like I quite like it on my skin. It doesn't feel heavy or cakey, and it's not like settled into any sort of lines or anything. So I'm quite impressed by this, and I'm not overly surprised because I love L'Oreal True Match. So I'm going to see how it is later on. I've got a few things to do and then I'm going to the cinema, etc. So I will check back in afterwards and see how it's held up. I'm not going to powder or anything, and just see what it looks like. So yeah, I will see you guys shortly. Okay, so I've been out to the cinema, etc., had something to eat. So this is what it's looking like, completely untouched, and I have a natural shine coming through here and sort of around the nose area and chin. No matter what foundation I wear, I always tend to get the sort of shine coming through. It's because I've got naturally oily T-zone. So I haven't powdered or anything, and it seems to have held up quite well on my skin. Like, it doesn't seem to be sort of breaking down or anything, it just sort of needs powdering, which is... So I'm going to try the foundation with a damp beauty blender. Well, mine's the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge, which I've actually got into recently. I don't know why, kind of just bought it, tried it, did not know how to use it and kind of left it. So I'm going to give this a whirl. Now this is immediately giving me a lot more coverage than when I was using my buffing brush. I kind of had to go with 2 layers. So I'm going to see how this goes. And just hope I don't have to use a lot of it. Because that would kind of mean I'd have to use less product, which is always good. Right, I feel like that's given like a good amount of coverage, but I feel like I need a little bit more because my skin's not great at the moment. So I'm just going to put another square on. Definitely think this second layer was a good idea because it's giving me loads more coverage and kind of just making my skin look that little bit more kind of flawless, and it's kind of all nicely blended in at the moment. I think I'll just kind of get it underneath my chin because I don't want any tide marks, just in case. I definitely think it gives a much quicker, fuller coverage when you're using the complexion sponge or a beauty blender, and it kind of, I feel like I need a new one. This one's getting a bit ratchet. I just feel like it gives the same finish, just that little bit more airbrushed and flawless. I don't know if you can kind of tell that on the camera, but I can definitely tell up in here. It's still got the radiance to it, the natural radiance. I probably will powder because it's like a habit. I can't get out of that habit. Sort of more blended and sort of sandwiched into the skin, so hopefully this will last a lot longer. I mean, the other one was lasting really well on the skin, so hopefully all good things. I'm getting really impressed with this at the moment. I've tried it for a couple of days now and I do quite like it, so I'm going to